Good morning, everybody. So today I am going to talk about using CodeHS to complete your Python assignment for Computer Hardware 1. So basically, we're going to build a small program from scratch using CodeHS Sandbox in Python, so you can see kind of what that process looks like. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Your computer hardware class, you will notice that your most recent assignment is here. It says Python program. So you are going to be creating one of these 4 programs. You can choose any of the 4, and you're going to do that in the CodeHS Sandbox area. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So hopefully CodeHS is pretty familiar to you by now. Here is the Python lessons that you have been working through. I'm hoping that we are all the way up through functions and exceptions. If not, you can keep working through those. But today I'm going to show you how to use the sandbox area to create your own program. So I'm going to click on Sandbox. Okay, and I'm going to name it something today. I'm going to make a number guesser. So that's what I'll call it. And I'm going to hit create program. So Python, this is what we've been working in. And Python right at the top should default to the same version of Python that you've been learning in CodeHS. So that's what I'd recommend. If you would rather use Python 3 because that's the most recent one, that is fine as well. It's your call. I'm gonna hit create. CodeHS does a really great job of showing you all the pieces of how to get things going, but it doesn't necessarily give you practice in creating a complete program from scratch. So that's what we're gonna start setting up today so you can see what that looks like. So first, every program that you make in your whole life should have a header section. People forget to do this all the time. Please don't forget this really easy thing. You should have a header section. So what goes in the header? Your name, the date, what the program does, and ideally what sort of sharing that you want to have associated with it. So I use the Creative Commons by attribution non-commercial, which means that if someone else is going to use my code, they need to say that it's mine, and they can't go off and make money off of it. Okay, it's a great place to start. There's a link in our Canvas course on how to choose a particular type of license if you're not sure, but for now and in class, this is a good way to go. All right, and the other thing that a program should have is comments. And one really good way to make sure that you have enough comments is to plan out your program using comments right from the start. So what might I need in a number guesser game? I will probably need a number to guess. I will probably need a guess made by the user. And then once I have both of those things, I will need to somehow compare the guess to the target number and have some sort of result on if they're right or not. Okay, so I already have kind of the outline of the program I want to make, and I haven't written any actual code yet. It's all been comments, but that's going to be really helpful when you go to turn this in because you won't have to go back and add comments later on. You're going to be able to just turn in your program as it is, and it will have a reasonable amount of comments already in it. Okay, but now I'm ready to actually do some code part. Make sure we haven't lost anyone yet. Good. All right, so a number to guess. So here I'm going to set up a variable, and I'm going to call it maybe the target number. And when I first start, I'm actually just gonna make it the number 5. Later, it'll be good if this is a more random number, but in testing, it's often a good idea to start out with some known quantities to make sure that the other things I'm doing are working correctly. Okay, and a guess made by the user. So maybe I'll call this guess. Okay, and you should remember from your CodeHS Python work that the way we get input from the user is input. And then we can ask whatever it is or show on the screen whatever message we want to use to ask them a question. So I'm going to say, please enter a number between 1 and 10. Yeah. For all of my quotes. Okay, so far so good. Good. Now I want this to be a number, not a string. So I'm going to put the int for integer all the way around it. So whatever my user types in, it will get turned into an integer so that I can compare it to that target number. Okay. So now before I do anything else, I'm just going to make sure that what I've done so far is working. So I'm going to print the guess. So this will just let me make sure that when I type in a guess, that it is storing it correctly. So I'm going to come over here and hit run code. Please enter a number between 1 and 10. Great. So 3, and it saved the number 3. We can tell that worked because it printed it out right there. I really encourage you to do a lot of these very small steps that can let you make sure your program is working the way you expect it to. It didn't take very long for me to type in print guess and run just to make sure that what I was doing was working. All right, but now I don't need to print that guess anymore, so I can just delete that. Next, I need some way to compare the guess to the target number. So we have talked about the things that make up a program. We already have statements and variables going on. Next up, we need a conditional. That's a conditional statement, an if-then statement in this case, is how we're going to be able to let our program make some sort of decision or have multiple paths to follow. So that looks like this. If, and now I need to compare two things. So I'm going to say if guess is less than target, because that's one of the possibilities, right? All right, and what's the result? Indent that comment. So what's the result? If the guess is smaller than the target, maybe I want to let my my player know that that is what happened. So I'm going to say too low. Okay. Let's give this a try. So I know that right now it's not a random number. The number that I'm trying to guess is 5. So I can purposefully choose something too low to make sure this is working. So let's try the number 3. Oh no, I did something wrong. Let's go see. Target. Oh look, I spelled target wrong. Awesome. All right, so that error right there highlighted where it saw a problem. So I could come over here and look and try and figure out what I did wrong. So in this case, there is no G in target. That's a problem. So I'm going to go back and add that. And we're going to try to run our code again. There we go. See, you're not the only ones who spell things wrong. I do it too. All right, I'm going to try that again. The number 3 should be too low. And there we go. It says too low. Great. Next up, what's another possibility? Oh, else if the guess is greater than the target. That means it's too high. Spell target right this time. Excellent. Okay. Still know that my number is number 5, so let's try number 7. Too high, but we knew that, and our code is working so far so good. So if I'm not too low and I'm not too high, I should be right at the right number. So if that's the only thing left, then I should be able to say, you win. Okay, let's see how we're doing. Enter a number between 1 and 10. Okay, now I know my number is 5, so I'm gonna put in 5. You win! This is the easiest guessing game ever, but coding-wise, it is right on. So far, so good. Okay, so next up would be maybe how to make this better is maybe it's not always the number 5, right? That's pretty boring. So we are going to make it a random number now. The first thing I need to do there is import random. So this is going to bring in all of the functionality of the random library so that I can use it. So now, instead of my target being the number 5, I'm going to say, please go look at the random library. I would like to use the command randint, and I would like my random numbers to be 1 to 10. Okay, so we can now print the target, the target, that's not a thing. Target, there we go. So why would I print that up there? Why would I do that? I would print that up there so that I can check how my program is working. I wouldn't want to always accidentally guess it, right? Or it's just gonna let us check kind of the functionality as we go along. So we're gonna give this a try. Run code. All right, so my target number is 2. Good. So what's gonna happen if I choose 1? Too low. Great. And, oh, it's 2 again. Suspicious. What happens if I choose 8? Too high. Oh, now it is 8, but now I want to check and make sure that it works when I get the right number. So 8, I win. This is a functional guessing program. It's not very exciting. It's maybe not a game that I would want to play over and over again, but it does technically work. What would we add to make it more interesting? The next time I do one of these, we're going to add a few more things. Multiple guesses, changing guesses, and a way to track how all of that is working. But this is the outline, the beginning of a good program. We have our header up top. We have a number of comments explaining what is happening in our program. I guess we could add a few more. We could say, here, maybe guess too low. Guess too high. Correct guess. All right, so we have a good number of comments. We have a header up top. We have variables that are named in a way that we can understand what's happening. We've tested our program several times. Those are all the sorts of things I want you to do as you're developing your Python program. Every single one of those little steps. Next time I do one of these streams, we're going to make this program more complete by adding some of those tracking and a while loop so that you get more than one guess. But that is enough for today, unless I have any questions in the chat. I think we're good. All right, I will see you guys again soon.